And let's go live on YouTube too, because why not? We've got the power.
You have the power.
I've got the power.
It's
Yay.
got the techie power.
Techie power with a few clicks of the button, and we are being live streamed on YouTube. So welcome here, everyone, to our Zoom room. We're going to be exploring Channel Your Soul Story with Cheryl here. And come and settle in. Let us know where you're calling in from. And also, why are you here? Let us know in the chat and Zoom or over on YouTube as well. I can see there are people watching too. So yeah, welcome. And it really is over to you, Cheryl. We decided we'd have a chat, and you've got a course coming up, which I have attended last year. I can't believe it was last year. Channel Your Soul Story.
Yeah, I know.
Epic.
Boom. So yeah, I was just waiting for you to do all your hellos because I know you love it. Hello, hello. And you're such a webinar pro.
I know. I did my last webinar on my own and I spent about 10-15 minutes welcoming people in.
Yeah, I loved it. I was there listening to it. I cried throughout. So thank you so much for that grief circle. It was really powerful stuff and much needed. And I said to you that I had a bit of a spiritual nudge to reweave grief because I'd done a spiritual grief series, and yet I couldn't do it this year. I just didn't feel up to it. So it felt really nourishing to have been held in that space by you. So thank you. And yeah, so I want to speak into being held in the space. That's a beautiful place to start, because the reason I wanted to come on and have a chat, and we're going to do a little bit of channeling around your own work, and we'll speak into what you got going on in the world of the arts and storytelling. Because basically I feel super passionate about changing the paradigm of theatre, particularly on the bigger consciousness, changing the paradigm of storytelling. I've worked in the theatre industry for about 9 years, and I've worked as a healer around the same time. And I've heard so many people speak to me about their own soul story, and particularly my connection with you, Eimear, where it's been like, oh, you get it. The past life persecution of witches, particularly between me and you. And I'm going on to expose transhumanism and dark agenda in my second play, which is probably not too far from you either, because we know that these lifetimes spiral out.
Yeah.
Who knows? My third one might end up going past Ireland. Who knows? But it's so, yeah, what I kind of got an urge to do when I set up 5D Theatre, my theatre company, was to not only house a trilogy of plays that brought soul back to storytelling and magical realism into the modern world. And magical realism is a genre in theatre and film, but I often think it's used as a device. But for me, it's my craft, it's my life. Magical realism is how I live. And so I feel very strongly about bringing this out and nurturing this out of other writers and healers, because we have a craft that I feel needs to be reclaimed. And I feel that it will be reclaimed through storytelling. And I believe that will change the paradigm, because the emerald tablets and the scrolls and the oracles and the mediums and the seances were all telling stories of the soul. And that's what we lost. And that's what we need to reclaim. So, yeah, so I got that nudge. I was like, for a long while, I thought it was about me and my trilogy, and it is. But on the other side, I decided to run Channel Your Soul Story last year for the first time to help others. Because what I've discovered about the process is not only are you writing your own story, you're writing the wrongs that have been done to you. And that takes a great, courageous amount of healing. And then to speak into that, and then to honor that that's your truth, rather than some mystical, magical tale of fantasy. It's your truth. I realized that that needed support in a new way, not only through developing writing practices to either use the hero's journey to shape your story, or to use the soul's journey to shape your soul story, which every healer or light worker needs to know the story of their soul so that they can speak about it, heal it, use it as a modality, or even, like me, use it in your own story. And so I feel very passionate about this new movement I'm trying to create in the arts and get it recognized as us spiritual folk haven't fared well throughout history. And it's time we told our own tales.
Yeah.
And so this
Yeah.
is set up to support that. Yeah. What are you going to say to that,
love
Eve?
it. I love it. And I'm just thinking, like, there's so much in there of what you share. And when I sat in the audience and witnessed your script and hand reading of Awaken and everything, it's like it was just magical on so many levels. And there was that part to me going, this is real, this has really happened. You know, when you're sharing, like, this is your soul speaking. And it's also that was the reaction I had as well, going on trial for being a witch in August 2020 in my witch awakening. It was the same thing. This is real. This did happen. So it's the same. It's like the soul going, yes, it's real. Now speak about it. So yeah. And I also wanted to ask about when you speak about magical realism. That really struck me when, well,
Yes. So
struck me, but if you want to explain what you mean by that.
absolutely. So it was quite funny. I'd written my play and then I was doing it at the Park Theatre. And I had a scene where the witches from the other world come through, which is in the play, when Henry Husk is in his bed and he's getting haunted by these witches. And I've written a couple of other scenes, but that was the one that really stood out and people seemed to take to. It was like a sharing of the work. And this guy in the audience said, "Oh, you're really good at magical realism." And I went, "Oh, thanks." And then went home that night and went, "What is magical realism?" I had to look it up because I was like, I didn't know it was a whole form. And what it is,
Wow.
it's stories that mix the mundane and the magical. So they put in magical like it's everyday world. So instead of going, "Oh, this is strange," and stamp pointing it, it's mixing those two genres where the mundane and the magic meet. And it's trying to sort of impose a supernatural world and see it through the eyes of realism, which is, oh, this could be the world. Often it's used as a device in film and TV and plays to bring you into a heightened reality. But my onus was to bring magical realism into the modern world. And I kind of coined my own genre, which was called spiritual realism. And spiritual realism was like, we know we're spiritual and we need to be taken seriously as everyday folk. We have normal, mundane lives, but we experience the magic and the spirit and the soul. And that is kind of what I wanted to bring in, that actually, you know, if you write about the history of slavery and you have a beautiful artist bringing that forward that has that in their ancestry line, everyone goes, yeah, they're the voice that needs to speak. Yet plenty of people can talk about the history of magic and spirituality, and they don't ask the spiritual folk to speak it, or the magical folk, the practitioners, to honor that story. Oh, my Lord, my working class gypsy witch is like, come on now.
Yeah.
Like,
And
put
it's
it back
such a
in the
simple,
hand.
yeah.
And so I also realized that magical realism is made by the repressed, the underdog of society. And it's often used as a political activism. Now, I'm not a political activist, I'm a spiritual activist. So it's often for those people that feel repressed and they want to challenge the status quo of society, and they use magical realism as a form to do it. So in so many ways, magical realism is just so alive in me to bring forward as a forum. But why I recoined it spiritual realism within the community is because although it's still magical realism at play as a genre, this new genre felt very true to me, because as a sort of soul-based activist, I'm like, you know, I know a lot about the soul. I work in that day in, day out. I help people with soul stories because I think the soul is precious. And I think the soul's been sold down the river so many times that the activism is the sanctity of the soul and the sanctity of your soul story above anybody else's out there. your soul story matters, because you matter and your soul matters.
Yes. Wow. There's so many sound bites from this, by the way.
Like, who am I? I think this is a spiritual producer training thinking, because I've been training as a producer to try and, you know, figure out how to, you know, support this work, because, you know, if some people that don't have a background in theatre and the art, you know, it's tough. You know, there's the arts systems are crumbling around us. You know, lots of people, I read that only people visit theatre twice a year. That's the average theatre goer, once or twice a year. So the arts aren't seen as a sanctuary, a temple that people want to go to. And, you know, I know a lot of people read and watch TV, but I feel that a lot of entertainment out there is to entertain, soothe, pacify, whereas I'm about activate, galvanize, awaken. That's quite a different form of entertainment. And on top of that, heal, transmute, change.
Yeah. There are two phrases that stood out for me, or beats, as I've learned from you.
Beats, yep.
Beats, the sanctity of your soul, and also a while back you mentioned the righting the wrongs, you know, so with an R, with a W, with, you know, it's got such a depth of meaning.
Yeah. Yes. So what?
Yeah. I was just going to say, what is it about the sanctity of our soul that deserves to have their story shared?
Yeah. So both of those, righting the wrong and sanctity of the soul. So I started the course with the template that, you know, the witches have been burnt, the Knights Templars have been destroyed, Osiris has been hacked to pieces, Sekhmet has been mind controlled, the order has been stolen, the magic has put in the hands of the harmers, not the healers. You think putting a spiritual story out there is easy? Think again. You know, there are forces that do not want us to speak into this and change the paradigm. But absolutely not on my frigging watch. We've got to change the paradigm. And what that sanctity of the soul is that I believe we should never come in to consciousness to learn a lesson that we can't remember. I mean, that's like having Alzheimer's for the soul. Like, what? You know, that feels totally wrong, that you come in. So where have those memories gone? And why is it you know, that children come in going, I'm a soul, and they know it, and then that gets taken away from them? And why is it that, you know, we call certain things mentally ill when people have premonitive voices? And, you know, it feels to me like a big agenda to forget that we have a soul. And if I speak into transhumanism and AI and technology, which is all happening now with the cloning, the microchipping, you know, the different things that are placed in space all around us to crush the soul, it's still happening now. And that's why I say that you've got to know your soul to know what you're fighting for. And so through doing past life regressions as a healer, through doing soul retrievals, work I consistently do for myself to get my material for my own work, and other healers and writers and everyone that I work with that also gain material, I realized that we've been through this spiritual warfare before, time and time again. And so once I'd really realized the weight of it, I realized how freaking precious and gorgeous, and that my soul had been fighting this fight over and over again, and that I needed to remember it in this lifetime to win the war of my own consciousness, and to say that I don't consent to any memory being taken, to any of my magic being stolen, and for me to not carry the karma that someone else placed on me through mind control, soul control, or very harmful magic.
Yes.
And so, yeah, so for me, righting the wrongs, both with a W and an R, was about writing my own story so that somebody else didn't get to speak for me. You know, somebody else didn't get to teach me. Somebody else didn't get to tell me how the world is when I've seen it with my own eyes and my own soul. And it was for me to awaken myself to who I truly am on a soul level, and to leave a legacy behind me of how I wish the world could be, because as a little child, I wanted a soul teacher. to bring me up, not an education to tell me what to think and how to be. So, yeah.
Soul teacher.
A soul teacher to bring me up, you know, and I think that's the bigger picture of why I needed to expand out 5D theatre, because I got to be like, I can do something with my light and shine it out and do that. But a collective of us storytellers, a collective of us healers, a collective of us light workers, shadow healers, rose priest and priestess, you know, all doing what we need to do in the world, developing our own, you know, our own programs, our own teachings, our own stories, speaking out about it, performing these works, you know, that's the 5D paradigm. Yeah.
I wanted to ask as well about the channeling aspect of channeling your soul story.
Yeah.
And who or what are we channeling?
Oh, she's good. You're like, yeah. So yeah. That's questions everything. Well done. That's a really big question. And that's probably one of the biggest reasons I call Channel Your Soul Story. Because what I'm not doing is setting up that you have to talk about your soul's lifetimes, or, you know, that your past life regressions have to become part of your stories or part of your programs. What I'm trying to do is get you in touch with your own soul and the stories and the way that you live in this lifetime and the effect that that has. What I found from channeling myself, from channeling other beings, through my work, through working as a healer and channeling, is that there wasn't a safe space to go, what is this being that I'm channeling? My practice as an angelic Reiki teacher back in 2017, when I was learning, was open yourself up as a wide open vessel and give it over to the angels. Okay, that's what I did. Then later I was finding that these angels, and I write about it in my second play, The Witch, the Bitch, the Whore Was Your Angel, felt like trickster characters, felt like they were leading me off astray, felt like, you know, sometimes there felt like energies that didn't feel good. And what I found was the linking with my soul, my divine spark, whatever you want to call it, my God force, my divine goddess part of me, never did that. It always led me back to me. And what I found in the spiritual community was we kept getting led off down a bit of a garden path, give it up to the other, you know, pass it over, you know, let yourself be an empty vessel. An empty vessel for what exactly? And so what I learned through self-mastery and going through some pretty tricky times, and they don't end when you speak out about this stuff. It's much easier if you stay silent, definitely. But I have, you know, and now I understand the world of demonic attack, soul harvesting, harmful magic, you know, these are all the things. And now I understand and how help people to protect from that and give them their power back, that free will and I don't consent. And this is through really working with the fact that we have an astral realm, you know, that's got all sorts of energies in it. We have spirits that have gone to the other side and they are lost souls. We have spirits that have ascended. We have angelic consciousness that is gorgeous, as well as the fallen race. And we're mastering all of that. And so part of the biggest part of channeling is that I'm offering is, look, this is how we channel well. Bring all those things that you're struggling with into that space and let's guide you through it. And know that some of it might be the antagonist in your story, that thing that you're faced up against, that being that's given you such a hard time that it's caused your soul to ascend over it, like me, and to work with it now. Or it might be the thing that you're teaching others in your healing practice because you've really learned how to face the eye of the storm. Because as much as there are light workers, there are people that are working for the harm of humanity as much as there are to work in the healing of humanity. And so in some ways, I want to get these practices out so that they're more in the hands of healers rather than harmers, because this is how we win. It's not through going, well, let's not use those practices, they're not safe. That happened in the witch persecution days. No, you're working with the devil. So it wiped out cunning folks and healers and mediums who knew how to work in protection practices And it left those in charge that were just going, okay, we give it up to the priest who knows better. And some of them might have done, but some of them might not have been on the side of helpful, right at the top, you know? And so it's about mastering our own magic, and that is in finding our own soul, connecting with that, and then channeling and leaving free will and choice and command magic as part of that. And command magic means, you know, I do not consent to that energy. Thank you very much.
Wow. I've learned so much from you in all that you've shared, and in particular, the command magic has been one of the greatest things, remembrances for me. Like, wow, this is how we do it. Oh, because that amnesia, I'd totally forgotten all of these gifts. So we can do this, we can command this and protect our space. Yeah, that's huge. And thank you for going into the channeling aspect, because it's the energy, the resonance, the frequency, it feels different. So I like watching and experiencing channelings from others, and some feel different.
Yeah. And I do not want to say that, you know, people that channel are channeling the dark. You know, I feel there's so much out there that turns against mediums and channelers, and I don't want to be one of those. All I respect when people bring it forward, that they go, yes, you can be channeling the dark, and you can be unconscious to it, because people don't speak enough about it. And that those, I think anyone that's working in that forum will come up against this, go, well, what is the light and what is the dark? But what I've found through channeling, and I'm just going to speak into something they're taking me to in 1 second, is that I am a master channeler, which means that lots of information that I can never have access to came through me when I started to write and channel. I was getting all this information. And as you know, because you've been working with me a long time, like I was like, I'm figuring out why witches were really killed and what really happened with it. And I was filling in the dots because I was channeling and then finding information out there and soul reading and reading between the lines. Soul reading is what I call it. And then using all my supernatural skills to bring the truth forward. And so I just want to speak into John D, which is something I've been bringing forward lately. And that is that, you know, he is the founder of this kind of magical angelic lineage, which everybody is following. But also you look into him and he was channeling demonic spirits who told him to like wife swap with his partner and do all these things that weren't sacred. I'm not saying you can't wife swap, do what you want to do, but not because an angel's telling you to do that. That ain't right. You know, it's something you don't want to do, and an angelic force is telling you this is the way to do it. That's channeling demons. And so, yeah, so I felt it was really important to channel consciously and know what you're entering into, but also know that there's great power there for you to ascend above what's out there in the paradigm, because, you know, they knock the channelers and oh, it's a channel book, it's a channel for a reason.
Yeah, and I asked that because I bought a book recently, and it's someone I've followed for years actually, and I was really surprised in the introduction where it said this is not a channeled book. And it kind of jerked me going, oh, so, which is part of why I then asked you, because I thought, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Where at the start of my play, it should be, this is a channeled play.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And so on that channeling, shall we dive in a little bit? Because I want to leave a little bit of space in case anyone has any questions. And please do pop them in the chat if you do, and we will come round to them. But yeah, because I believe in channeling souls so strongly, yeah, we thought we'd do a little work on your book that you were working with through the last course. But tell everyone a little bit about what you're doing, what you're writing about, and what's going on.
What's going on? So my book, it's around my witch awakening. And I mean, there's so many different layers to it. It will, I know, be 12 chapters-ish. And it's magical realism around my witch awakening, but also remembering the witches for the wise ones that they are and were, to bring healing to the word witch because they're so vilified, and also to uncover the magic that lies beneath the witch wounds when we heal them and when we look. And the first 5 chapters are all love and light. Well, I won't say love and light, really. It's my journey up until that point. And then chapter 6 is that turning point where I discover what lies beneath the witch's wheel of light and delve into the satanic, harmful aspects of the journey. And ultimately, what I realized today was that I feel like it begins in New Earth Tara, which is a vision I've had for many, many years, and therefore also ends in New Earth Tara. So it takes people on that whole journey and hopefully brings people hope as well for where they are and solace on their journey. That's a bit of a nutshell of
and that's great because I've just put that down into beats that want to come through. So we'll work on those 3 beats. And beats, I should explain, is like for beats. It's like events in a story. So I'll go through it now, but it's just like key events that are important. And I kind of guide people on Post-its to write these key events down, because when you start to do the meditations, go through the guiding, you get the key beats from your own soul or from a story that you want to write about. And these are, because inevitably you want to build a program if you're a healer or or you're searching for your soul's wisdom, you want the key moments in it. Like me and you, I was killed as a witch. These are really important things to remember. And these key beats are the stuff that you should write about, because this is the story that no one else is going to say. And we spend our lives kind of sometimes doing work that isn't aligned with our soul, or writing a draft of a story that's going off on one. And then when you really hone it down, John Truby said, write a story that's going to change your life. And I accept nothing less. The stories that I've written have absolutely changed my life. And that is why 8 years later, I'm still redrafting to get the right message out. And I'm still turning up and banging in time to write when, I've been told before that others would have given up long ago. And I'm like, yeah, but this has changed my life and it's going to continue. And I've realized why I'm really here through storytelling. So the key beats, what flashed up then was about the lost souls of Tara, the lost souls, the shadow side of the witch, and then the ascended Tarian government came in. I was like, government? I don't like that.
we have a circle, please.
Yeah. So I'm wondering whether it came in as government because government means govern the mind. So in the drop consciousness, governing your mind, controlling your mind. But there's something about the NLP and the mind stuff for you that felt really important to speak into. And I didn't know I was going to say the word government until it came out my mouth, because Spirit knows I would have gone, not saying that.
Yeah.
It's very clever. And so what is the opposite of governing the mind in a sacred way? Protecting
sovereignty came, straight away.
Yeah, amazing. So that sovereign mind as an end point is a very important point for you to get to, because don't forget who you are and where you've come from and what started you on the witch's journey and that whole NLP stuff. And you keep, when we did the Black Rose, you were like, oh my God, I missed all this stuff you were doing around mind control. And I remember thinking, if anyone that's interested in my plays about mind mastery and mind control and programs, and we all know how that relates with Satanism. Maybe we don't all know, but worth reading Kathy O'Brien's book to really understand. Watch the film Trance to understand the mind control techniques that are out there. MK Ultra being one of them. And so that feels an important point for you to go to. So we've got soul, lost souls, soul control and shadows. So we're going to go into the darker energies of your story today, because I don't feel, if I'm not here giving you a little nudge, you might go, I'm not doing it.
grab yourself a cuppa, everyone. We're
going
going
in.
This is Cheryl in action. This is
And
beautiful.
so, yeah, I was laughing at someone in the session. They were like, I was sent to you, and I was like, oh yeah, you want to talk about dark magic, the agenda? We got to retrieve your soul. We got to bash through consciousness. It's like you go to different people for different things. I was like, one of these days, I'm going to be like, oh, she's. You only go to her to float around in the clouds.
Grow your wings again. And
Oh
that too.
no, actually, I don't want to float around in the clouds. I know which clouds are coming. They're not doing that. Yeah, so the lost souls of Tara. Oh, okay. I feel like we're speaking into a collective here, because there's a really painful energy. So what it was about this energy, and it's coming through from your soul, is about the naivety of the soul at this time. So it's like feeling into a consciousness of the bliss state. And that state of, think of you in your child state, knowing none of this information, none of it. This innocence, this birth point of pure Tarian frequency. And so words aren't going to do it justice, but your words will when you bring them out. And it feels like you should do like a meditation on Tarian green emerald energy before any order was set up, way before that. No tablets, no nothing, just the frequency of that ray. That is what you lost. That consciousness. That's where the souls got lost. Because imagine you getting wamboozled in that consciousness. You've got no, if you go down to that origin point, there's no people like now speaking out about going, well, this is where we've come from, maybe look here, look here. And so it's like taking us to the start of that consciousness, that absolute beautiful. I'm not going to try and do it words. Close your eyes a minute. I'm just going to guide us into it. And then you're going to tell us what it's like, not me.
I'm just hearing it's like in the beginning. There was.
Yeah. So start there. In the beginning, there was. And put yourself in this. It's like a flame of consciousness. I'm seeing like 12 flames. And you might be the 13th one in the middle, flickering. And they're saying to bring in the beginning, there was the word, and the word says.
Wow.
And go on, channel the word.
Magic, emerald, green, pure light, beings, elemental, power, lightness, joy, and telepathy. I'm just like,
yeah.
And the divine, the divinity. We are the divinity in everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a beautiful, uplifting energy.
Yeah.
And a freedom. Yeah, it's like a freedom. Yeah.
Yeah. And what's beautiful is this is like, this might be your story and your forum, but it could just as easily be your teachings, your sharings as a witch.
Yeah.
So this is how it weaves. You don't have to be one thing, a writer or a healer. It's kind of when I kept nudging you, aren't you a sacred storyteller? And so what I want to bring into there is that consciousness was cut. So it got like a big knife come through. So close your eyes again and see if you can see how that soul consciousness was cut and the souls got lost. And it's like a huge knife is coming straight across the plains. And I'll talk more into it if you need me to, but I don't think you do.
Well, it feels like thunderclouds, like you were talking about the clouds. That's ironically floating up into the clouds, and it feels like the magic is suppressed and squished, but we're still trying to practice. but
Yeah.
the density of the dark clouds just, it's like we're turned to dust, just totally annihilates us.
Yeah.
And I feel we didn't see it coming, because it would
No.
never happen. It would never happen to
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
So it's like thunder, rolling thunder clouds coming
And
across the
then,
plain.
yeah, beautiful. That's really evocative. And then I want you just to, as a storytelling template, we've gone from there, just imagine that this is the beginning and the world that you created. And one of those soul fragments falls down from the sky, falls from consciousness. Boom, is Eimear in Scotland, living our unawakened journey. So you've taken us from there to here. Quite a big leap on the soul's journey, because that soul's lost its consciousness. As what I was talking about earlier, straight into the story turns into Eimear remembering the witches, remembering the work, remembering those chapters, which I know that you're a bit more clear on. Walking straight into what you said was a mundane world that might appear boring. But this is magical realism put together at its craft, putting that reality in first of that Tara, the consciousness cut, and then seeing you, normal, mundane, everyday Eimear, living your life as you are, as your true story. So that part isn't the mystical part. That's as much a reality to you as your everyday cleaning the kitchen, doing what you're doing in a corporate world, having an awakening. And this is what people need to understand about the realism part and why you need to be writing the story. Because you're not saying, by the way, this book is not truth. You're saying, this is my truth.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how you bring the magical realism into the mundane, and you make people, I used to call it sometimes kitchen sink magical realism, because I loved kitchen sink growing up. I love Mike Leigh films. I like the gritty, working class actors and stories. And then boom, with me, you get a working class story and then magic, because people don't expect it there.
So that's a program, because so many insights happen at the kitchen sink for me. So
Yes, yeah.
the
The
program.
epiphany is at the kitchen sink.
Just
Yeah.
staring at the window.
And so I'm going to whip us around to the shadow point. I'm going to go quite quickly, just that people get an idea of that story and might get their own tools to go away and use if you even want to write straight after this webinar.
Yeah,
Go for it.
go, everyone. Let's do it.
Go, change the paradigm. Heal the world, write your stories, whatever you need to do. Get activated, call back your ancestors, do your true work in the world. So the shadow. So we're going to jump past into the shadow side of the witch. And we've been working with this heavily about Satanism and divine justice. And so I'm going to do that fist, because that's what's coming through from spirit. We're at the round table. We're making a pact to come back. What was said at that round table?
Well, I actually feel queasy in my stomach. And for me, it feels like it's been the biggest betrayal, like a major betrayal in my soul's lineage. And I know we made the pact to come back and share the truth of the wisdom teachings, but also the distortions.
Yeah. So I want to put it in a storytelling form. Who, what, why, where, when. So who did it? This is your antagonist as well we're bringing in. Name a name.
Oh my God, really? Toth?
Yeah.
Satan. So the Satanists, Toth, I feel, is a major player in my timeline.
What did they do?
I feel like they took the divinity in our words, in our lore, in our law, and distorted it. They took our magic They stole it all.
Yeah, what
So
particular
like,
magic is important to you? Because we all have different forms of magic.
yeah.
For me, I'm currently writing about mind control, sex magic, because the Egyptian Tantra is in my lineage. So that harms me. And I'm writing about the manipulation of demonology and magic. So what landed, like, what is your particular magic that?
Well, it's that which I haven't connected before is the emerald. Like that emerald green energy at the very, very beginning.
Mm.
And then connecting
The emerald
potentially
tablet.
the emerald tablets. Yeah, so I've never actually made that connection.
Mm.
Tara, emerald, that emerald magic, whatever that is, that healing.
And you'll find that through
Yeah,
writing.
yeah,
So it's the emerald order being stolen. And so
yeah. The
why?
crystalline, because of its power, because of its purity, and they wanted the power for themselves.
And when was this? What lifetime is it? It's prominent.
Well, the round table feels like it is the Knights Templar. Which lifetime?
Yeah. Or is it? Is that the time the knowledge came back again?
I don't know. Or is it the fall of when Tara fell
Mm.
millions of
Yeah.
years ago? I don't know.
I think that's worth going into.
It's like it's happened
Yeah.
many times, it feels.
Yeah.
And then this
It's
is
like
like,
a wheel.
we've come back and it's happened again. Fuck's sake. This is not going to happen again. So,
Yeah. And so I'm going to take you quickly to the end because there's so much juice in this, and please do write some notes afterwards, to the ascension timeline. Green Tara in its essence, and not a naive green Tara, a green Tara with wisdom, you know. You've done this to my soul, I'm taking it back, that command magic that felt important. Also, I don't want to bypass the fact that the cloud consciousness that is happening, uploading your soul to the cloud, the consciousness, that's going to come in a bit more for you. So I'd look into that a little bit. Cloud consciousness, yeah. Put it down as a beat and see what you retrieve. And remember the NLP techniques, there'll be a crossover going across your story from NLP to this. But going into the end, and what are you fighting for? You know, righting those wrongs is why we, you know, it gets you up, it gets you at your desk, it gets you at your drums. Because I do say, if you're getting stuck, please don't write like a traditional person. Get your drums out, you know, teach light language and all those different devices and make it fun. And so we'll close your eyes again. We're going to go to Green Tara 7D style. And show us the image that we're needing to come back to.
It's really defiant. So I don't know if this is the final image, but it is like, whoa, that is never going to happen again. And we are back here now with the lessons, with the learnings, with the teachings. And it feels,
Tara's not off planet now.
yeah.
So tell me where it is, because I'm looking down and seeing the earth underneath you. Where did you land? If you land your mind's eye, where are you?
Well, I imagine it's Ireland, but
Where are we going? Tell us exactly.
oh, the Hill of Tara.
And what happened on the Hill of Tara?
I don't know. That's why I get kind of
so
funny energy from there.
do you remember that feeling? I was like, oh my God, the energy's gone wonky. And I'm like, can you see the earth vibrating?
Yeah.
So just focus in on that. When we were actually there, by the way, this was a real story that
Yeah. Yeah.
we looked down and I was going, Eva, get off your phone. The earth's vibrating. And it felt like reading it from an energy perspective. And that needs to come in now. And I said to Emma, do you not work in an energy healer way? I think you should. I think you're an energy healer. And I could see that the earth was vibrating like this. It was coming up, raising up. And I was like, oh, I've never felt this before. It was like the earth had a mist over it. A bit like it felt like ectoplasm that mediums can emit out of their mouth, which is spirit matter. It felt like it was coming up from the earth. And I was like, this is a lot.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's the energy lines, the ley lines, clearing, they're all cleared. They're flowing freely. They're divine. And I keep looking at the serpent. The Serpent and the Goddess is a book. The serpent is freed. It's like the dragon, the serpent. They're free again. They return.
Yeah.
Energy.
And so I want to tell you to take a few trips to the Hill of Tara with some energy practices to see what will happen. And obviously Ireland, which you will. But to also know that you've come where you're heading to is to come full circle on that earth witch reclamation. The earth witch, the land walker. Yeah. And to understand how to work with the earth, I think there'll be a level of energy mastery to work with that. And yeah, I feel like on the Hill of Tara when I was going to, oh, we should work with energy. And they're like, this is the start of an activation. Because when powerful earth witches walk the earth, they heal the earth, which I know you've been doing anyway, but there's a way to do it really consciously, which moves into the hero's journey of mastery of your own magic.
Wow.
There's going to be a big activation on that earth. And you're right about
it. The green man as well. There's something about that coming back.
Yeah, the union, the green man's are very balanced with the feminine, isn't it? Like, yeah.
The divine union of that.
Yeah. So that was a very quick race around your story.
That's amazing.
And, more to come on that for sure, isn't there? There's, you know, about your story and sharing that and writing that. But yeah. Do you have any questions on that, or does anyone else have anything?
Well, if anyone else does, but I just want to say thank you, because that's exactly how you work and help. Like, you really do push me out of my comfort zone every single time to help me look and see and guide me to know where I'm going or what I need to focus on next. So it's huge. Yeah. It's amazing. And that's channeling your soul story in action.
But I think it's like, I also feel really passionate about it. I think that's why I'm really glad that, you know, we shared space today and you know, always willing to jump in. Because yeah, it's one of those things that can't really be explained. But that it's one of those precious things, I think. And I'm really looking forward to, you know, I need these stories that other people are writing just as much as you do. You know, I can't wait for your story to be birthed. You know, it's like a thing that I feel like I soul contracted that, you know, like I said to you when we first met, like, thank you for putting the Witch Summit out there, because I don't feel so alone. Yeah. And it was kind of like, I went through writing my own story, Awaken, very alone. It felt very lonely. I used to get past life trauma from remembering this past life being killed as a witch. And then I'd have to get on stage and perform it. And I didn't really know how to deal with that at the time. I felt like, you know, is this normal? Who can I speak to about this trauma? Like, it's all coming up in my body. And when I first accessed your Healing the Witch Wound was when I was going through all of that. And you just did this whole summit about it. And I was like, oh, gosh, yeah, you're making it real for me. You know, you're making it acceptable. You're putting it out there, exposing it, putting it in the forum. So, you know, this is the way it dances between people. And that's why, you know, people that put out new healings that people don't talk about, or exposure, or finding their voice for the first time as a spiritual person, or whatever, we're all in it together going, here's a hand of saying to someone else that I had to make a decision to move up and expose the dark agenda, when I realized that if I didn't move up, people underneath me couldn't rise, and the people above me couldn't get the break because I was relying on them to do the work. And they were like, step up, because we've done some work and we need some help. And the people below me wouldn't rise. So I would keep them stuck. And that's what I'm kind of saying about people stepping in, because we're all going, okay, and you can do that, and you can do, okay, great. And then I can really go into this and go, there is a big community out here. Listen. Listen.
That's amazing. Yes, and Michelle has shared these words came through pure Michelle magic, which was hidden. Pure Michelle magic, which was hidden from the world by subtle means. Now she's back to hold the frequency and allow others to discover their magic. Nobody is stealing my power again and using it against me again. Yes.
Yeah.
Almost like you're healing into my energy's magic. That's amazing. Wow.
Yeah.
And a
I
special
felt the
thank you
ripple
to
of that
Cheryl.
as you read those words. It was rippling through me, going, that's an activation. Yeah. Yeah, Michelle's words are an activation. And I will remind you, Michelle, that you should be holding your own circles and bringing those words forward. Because people forget that they're sacred poets, and some of us are like oracle storytellers. And so when we speak our words into being, we like heal because we go, oh, we activate. So, you know, sometimes your words need to be spoken.
Yes, and they're so precious and powerful. And Gabrielle is saying, I love you too. And Mara is saying a special thank you to Cheryl for what you've shared before. Having dealt with that stuff, found that getting back into the light of my soul, strengthening it into my body, and playing with the word autonomy to reclaim full self-authority of my light and energy field.
Some powerful words. Autonomy. I
Yeah.
love the use of that word.
Yeah.
See, look at the
Command
wordsmiths out
magic.
there.
That's really beautiful, isn't it? Self-remembrance and not whose willpower is stronger. Yeah. Wow. Oh, and Annabella's saying I'm in tears. Yeah. It's the activation, isn't it?
Yeah.
Autonomy, auto self, nomos, law. Oh, I love that law on the law of self, because divine justice, of course, is what
Yeah.
we're striving for too in writing our own stories
Yeah.
now and speaking them and sharing them.
Yeah. And I will say, because of all that divine law stuff, that we're about to release our next Witches Wheel workshop. 22nd of March. Am I right? That's the Friday. And yeah, it's quite a deep dive into the magical codes. By that, I mean, you know, bringing out background black rose, which is now black and white rose lineages that I want to talk into. Isis and Magdalene is coming up largely for me, and what that practice truly is, and how it's been stolen and abused, and the resurrection mysteries and magical, you know, why all the magical practitioners go back to this Egyptian lineage. And I know you're having a bit of a divine masculine dance, aren't you?
I am, yeah. And it started with the wounding on a particular sacred site in Ireland that I went to. But that's so amazing where it's led me to. Then I was exploring like the wound of the land, but also the crucifixion wound of this time, leading me into delving deeper into Yeshua, or which Yeshua. And yeah, it's going deep. And I feel that in working with you since on these witches' wheels since last August, where at the start I'm like, Cheryl, you take all that darkness, you do all of that. And I do feel now I'm stepping up and going,
I know.
okay.
For this one, I feel that I might be like, oh, I'm going to break through the light. And he was going, no, I'm not. We'll see what happens. Or it might be, you know, the last one where we completely swap. But
Yeah.
yeah, it feels like you're really uncovering some, you know, some of the, I want to say, dark arts. And I want to also say that the uncovering of it is where, you know, it's like there's all our power source, you know, like I spoke about this a few times, that I became a medium. I was a bit like, oh no, I'm not going to go into mediumship. My great grandfather's a famous medium. I held him up as a bit on a pedestal. And then the reason I did and bring mediumship a lot into my work is because of divine justice. That spirits wanted, you know, Philip Kahn's been a great example of getting me to Ireland and more discovery of that and the injustice of that, you know, the souls that come over and go, this is not okay. And I think in looking in those dark shadows and those spaces, and then saying the command magic, I do not consent, this is not okay. What are we going to do about it? To protect all of our human souls, our children, and our, our light and our souls. Is, I go back to the sanctity. It's precious. Don't expose the dark because I enjoy it. I expose it because I'm like, that's not of the soul. That's of something else.
Yeah, anti-soul.
Anti-soul.
Yeah, the antithesis of soul.
Yeah.
And there was something else that came through, and now it'll come back if it needs to. Because it's not okay. It's not okay. And commanding that's what it was. I realized today that we're not meant to do this alone, which is the whole round table and gathering community and souls, but also for the land of Ireland and these lands, there's such dense energy that I need help in clearing these wounds from the land. So it is in stepping into these spaces and signing up for the courses, it's also helping the land and the ripple and the oceans and the people and the beings. So I'm realizing the immensity actually of the work for once. I think it's kind of coming up in my consciousness.
And I agree with you. I went to Ireland and I was like, I need help. This is too much for my body, and I'm, quite used to this kind of grid work. Not a lot takes me out and things try, but I was like, oh, this is heavy. And somebody told me today, which I find interesting because I'm London based, is that London is the Earth Star chakra portal of the world. And I was like, I missed that. Of course it is. Of course I'm here. What are we going to do about that? The Earth Star portal.
Oh my God.
Underneath Westminster Abbey, apparently.
Really? We've got to reclaim it. It's probably where all the treasures are stored.
Absolutely.
We're going to do a break-in.
Well, we don't need to break in. We can soul read it. That's what we do on most of the wheels, the witches' wheels. And that, there's dark Egyptian ceremonies that go on there, inside there, coronations and all sorts.
Oh yeah. I was talking about the coronation today, actually. The impact of that. The king's coronation, the impact that what an activation it was for me, realizing all that had been stolen from us. And we're getting it back. And Michelle is saying, let's go in.
Go in, let's go in. We go into the Abbey. Yeah, we'll add that in actually. Because it's and that's what we can do when we retrieve our gifts of channeling, supernatural, of magic, of all of those things. It's just activated in other people that, other people have been using it, not for the good of humanity. If we all take it back and we're all using it for the good of humanity, it's reclaiming our soul's memory and reweaving it on the earth. This is what the earth wants. It's like, come on, healers, do this, let's work together as this divine collaboration. So, there's never been a more exciting time.
Yeah.
You don't look that convinced. You look like I usually look. Really?
And Jennifer saying, lead a retreat to the Hill of Tara. I'll be there. Yes, we will meet you there. So many people today have asked about retreats. And we are planning one in August to Ireland, at the north, Navan Fort in the north of Ireland.
And a little pilgrimage to the giant
yes.
to speak into the oracle truth and the divine druid lineage. Yeah, it's going to be quite special. Yeah, it's coming. It's obviously going, come on, guys, speed it up, put it out.
I know, yeah.
Sorry,
we just need to do the, get it typed up. And
for me, I've not been great. I'm sorry. Spirit's giving me a whoop ass. I don't know how much Spirit want me to work at the minute, but they're like, giving me a lot to do. And I'm like, okay. Yeah,
I'm
so
human.
Yeah, I'm human. Human, back off.
Yeah.
But we will be, there's something very sacred coming up about Ireland. I feel, it feels very ordained and very magical, and it'd be very different. in honor of the earth witch that you are and the wisdom walker, and in honor of walking the sacred act of theatre as walking the lands, a very ancient practice that we've lost our way to, and another gorgeous earth keeper that lives on the lands.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And Gabrielle's saying she needs to know how much to save up. So we're still pricing it and getting the finer details, but it will be the beginning of August in the north of Ireland. That'll be amazing to see you again.
Yeah.
And there's so much coming up, isn't there? But do you want to say anything more about Channel Your Soul Story starting on the 6th of March?
Yeah, so what are we? Oh yeah, a week away. Yes. So yeah, I won't have a massive group because it's very community focused. There are some spaces left. It's going to be I think I might run it once more, and then that's going to be it for a while, because I'm going to try and do a follow-on that's more targeted for writers to really advance their drafts. So I'm going to be a bit tougher. This one's very much about finding your expression and healing, and finding your story, and finding mediumship skills and light language practice, and lots of different ways into story in a magical way, which I find quite joyous. And very much guided by the group that gathers, whereas the follow-on is going to be more about, right, let's get your draft up to speed, let's get it out. Or there's going to be a possibly more advanced thing for healers, so that I can start to pass my practices on now. I'm getting that call to let's see where that's going. But I'm getting told to start passing the practices on, and
that's huge. Yeah, that's huge. Because a healer friend of mine actually passed away during the year, well, last year. And she was going to teach her craft, and I guess she'll teach it from the other side, you know.
Yeah, I might work with her.
Yeah. But at the same time,
and that's an important part. That's part of the guided journey, because that we work with spirits, we work with our own guidance to help us with, we're not doing a business, you're not writing a story alone. And the minute that you get that and use that guidance, and also know that there are forces that are trying to stop you, and it's about like navigating both of those, and your own healing. Healing is such an important part of being a healer or a storyteller. It's such an important part. You need to take care of yourself. And sometimes I'm like, please do nothing at all apart from these healing practices, which, there's always healing practices. We go through the 12 chakras to start with, so we're a clear channel. And then we go on to the work. And we don't start the work until we've cleared up our own channel. And then we go into, by the end, it will be very guided channeling practice, like I've done with you, with where people are at, what they need, whether they need a soul healing, a guidance. And that's kind of, Spirit came through and said, look, this is a channeled course, so make sure, by the end of it, you're channeling for everybody that's in the room that needs more energy come through, because we get stuck on our stories and our business, and sometimes we need that soul guidance, which I feel very passionately about. So yes, that's what that one's about.
That's amazing. So come join us 6th of March, and it's like we will not be resting on our laurels. There is much work to be done. Step in when you're ready and join in. And then our Witches Wheel, I've also put that link in the chat, and it'll be in the follow-up description in the YouTube.
Is it gone live now?
What's that?
It's gone live now, is it?
In the YouTube. Yes.
Yes.
Oh yes. I made it live earlier, and that's the 22nd of March, as you've said.
Yeah.
So you can
and then watch this space island ... coming very soon.
Yes, it's almost there. It's almost being birthed. But it's going to be really, really magical. Either way.
Yeah. It's kind of a way to bring this sacred theatre into practice and the lands. So
Oh, is it saying you're forbidden from seeing the page? Maybe I haven't done something to fully activate it. You will not be forbidden. Maybe try a different browser. I don't know. Can anyone else get into the links that I put in there? And And hi, Beth over on YouTube, and Roxanne. Hello. Oh, it works for Tabitha. Do you want to try a different browser? EM. We will not be forbidden from using this.
No.
Oh, yeah. And Christina is sharing, walking the land, setting free from the vibrational fortress, the light and energetic power to awaken the sovereign self for the exaltation of all. Very beautiful. Wow. Yeah, there's so much power, isn't there?
Yeah.
Oh, 2 different ones. That's bizarre. Yeah. I don't know. Other people seem to be able to get in, so I'll have a look at the access to see what's going on with that.
And it'll
Maybe
come out in the follow-up anyway.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe there's some
So
access thing.
yeah, I will share it too.
Is there anything else you want to share? Thank you, by the way, for, I feel I've bookends now for my
Bookends, yay. Which you, yeah, always called me a bookend.
I know. Yeah, the book is the bookend.
The bookend.
And the structure, which is really amazing. So thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think just
Book
pillars of our community. Oh, that's gorgeous. Yeah, just yeah, thank you to you for doing the work. It's always a pleasure meeting up and chewing the fat with you, which means having a chat. I just went very sort of London-esque.
Chewing the fat or chewing the cud, as I might say.
Cud. Nice. Yeah. Yeah, that's it really. I'm gonna shoot off because I've got a session because life's a bit bonkers at the moment.
Yes.
And yeah, the course is there on the 5D Theatre and you've shared it anyway. Anybody's welcome. You know, I actually, the last thing I want to say is that I don't think I'm creative. I don't think I'm a writer. I don't think I'm a performer. I don't think I'm a sacred theatre maker. I don't think I'm a healer. I don't think I can speak into this. I don't think I can heal this. I don't think I could expose myself in this way. That's a form of spiritual persecution that's stuck in the soul. And it doesn't allow us to move forward, but it's there. And I just want to say that, yeah, move forward anyway, because the story isn't out there already written. It's within your soul waiting to be retrieved. Yeah, it's important. Yeah, it's really important.
That's amazing. Amazing. And I'm just putting the very quick outline of what's going to be covered.
It geeks me out, this. It geeks me out.
So come
join
thank you. Channel your soul story.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah. Yes, and for free resources, there is also the Soul Story Activism Workshop on my website, just to give that a holler if anyone wants to kind of try that and wants a bit of a free resource to access it. So I don't think anyone's soul should be hidden from them. So that was done in devotion to help you access yours. So you can just grab that, and it's quite a little powerful workshop, about a couple of hours. Yeah.
Amazing. Devotion to the sanctity of the soul.
Yeah, full circle.
Yeah, thank you so much for the work that you're doing and for showing up and for being the pillar, as Michelle said, pillars of the community. Keep weaving your magic. Yeah, right back at you, Michelle, and to everyone. Keep weaving your magic, and thank you until we meet again.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone. Have an amazing day, evening, and happy leap year. Woo! Leap year day.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay. Bye.
Bye.